Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of TBR. And I'm George Binns. And as you probably remember, this is election season. And we have with us tonight the City Councilor from Ward 5, who's having so much fun, she's running for re-election. Kathleen Feldman. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I'm having a great time.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on in the city. I guess you just passed the budget for 2026.
We did.
And tax bills are out on the street, I guess, by now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of the surprises is that this year isn't too bad, but 2027 is a major crunch.
Mm-hmm.
And as I understand it, is the city's limited by Prop 2.5 to the total amount of revenue they can raise.
Correct.
In a subsequent year.
Mm-hmm.
And from what the budget looks like, we can't make it with that just 2.5%.
Correct.
That's okay. So the obvious question is, what happened? How do we get into this situation? You know, there's an old quote I like from Ernest Hemingway's Sun Also Rises, something like that. He asks the guy, how'd you go bankrupt? Well, slowly and then all of a sudden. And
Yep.
I've heard Ray Diallo and a few other gurus of the market mention the same comment relative to how does a country go broke.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of creeps up on you, and then one day, wow, what happened? So I guess what's the story with Beverly?
Well, that is a great quote, and it's a little like that. We're trying to stem off the all at once. I mean, FY 2027 is right around the corner. So I've been the chair of the Financial Forecasting Committee for the last 3 years, and it has been a process of watching basically the expenses outpace the growth rate of the revenue. When you're limited by 2.5% of an increase, of a tax increase on the base every year, the expenses have raised at a rate closer to between 3 and 4% for everything across the board. For the city side of things for the last 10 years, probably longer than that, but especially in places like health insurance, which we're contractually obligated to provide to our employees. So even with a lean budget and shopping around and really having a good rate, the cost of employee health insurance provided by the city is just for everyone. It's for all Americans, for everyone in Massachusetts. And so something like that in terms of expenses just annually raises at a higher rate. So we got in this position because of the cap on the property taxes at 2.5% and the increasing pace of growth in terms of expenses. And it's kind of, it's challenging because people do see their tax bill going up and they feel like it's more than 2.5%. But the fact of the matter is that's because their house has become assessed at a higher value. So when it's assessed at a higher value, that's why the rate is already slightly higher than that, every year anyway.
Well, for the last 10 years, my real estate tax has been going up an average of 4.5% a year. So
it's a compounding, yes.
Yeah, so hey, that's great that the value of the house goes up. But the concern I have is I can't take a shovelful of dirt out of my backyard and sell it to offset the taxes.
Right. I mean, that's why the city does have, abatement programs. We do have relief services for those factors. But yeah, it's really expenses are growing at a higher rate than revenue. And that's the math. It's not really pointing to somebody and saying it's your fault, it's, this person's fault or whatever. if you look at the budget, we just passed the 26 budget, and it's a very lean budget. I mean, even the cuts that were proposed, which ultimately did not pass, they were not significant to the tune of the fact that it would have had to have been a severe impact on services for us to cut the budget to the point where we could fix the structural deficit that we're looking at for fiscal year 2027.
So what exactly is the structural deficit?
The structural deficit, I believe, is almost 900,000. That's for FY 2027.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that if you look at
What are the things that are in that are driving it?
the budget deficit in
Yeah.
terms of expenses, I mean, like I said, the health insurance, we put in that the rate will continue to grow. And there are contractual obligations in terms of our unions for all of our cities, a lot of our city services and staff that have built in pay raises for their contract negotiations. And so we can see what the cost of the growth rate of those hard numbers are.
Oh, so when you say this is structural, you're not talking about buildings or physical
no,
structure.
I'm sorry.
So okay.
Just like the nuts and bolts of a number.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. We say
Okay.
structural deficit a lot.
No, because
yeah, I
there's
didn't
been a
mean
lot
to.
going on. We did some work on the library, fixed the AC. There was a bigger plan to do more. There has been some talk about what's going on with the central fire station.
Right.
They've done a lot of work there. There's some talk about, well, we got to do something about the roofs on the
Schools.
the elementary schools. And so part of my concern is what else is going on?
Right. That's a great question because people also look to these projects they hear about that have often big price tags around the city. And, you know, there's the operating budget, that's the annual expenses, and then there are the capital expenses that are kind of a different bucket. Not always a different bucket, but really more built into a capital expenses plan that we plan for in a different way. We really mostly look at the ins and outs of revenue and income on an annual basis. And some of these projects are, you know, multi-year projects planned for in advance.
Yeah.
And they're also, we have credit. We do borrowing for a lot of the capital plans. And
Yes.
it's part of...
So it's a debt payment that's
Right.
part of the game.
Right.
Yeah. And get down to the bottom line that there is concern that the only way to solve this problem is an override. So what type of an override are we talking about?
It's an
2.5 override or a debt service override?
It would be a 2.5 override because I've been likening, I've been a vocal proponent of an override because I have been looking at the numbers and looking at the cliff that we're looking at. And I just, unless we have a market correction is what I've kind of been calling it, or a true up, so to speak, to build on for subsequent years, we are not going to be, there's not one project or like one thing that we are looking at for 1 year as a Band-Aid fix. We need to, for 1 year, true up the rate of the taxes to replace some of the operational expenses that we would be on the line for losing if we didn't try and do something rather than nothing. Because, the alternative is cutting. There is something else we could do. We could cut city services.
Oh, yeah.
Extensively, but it would have to be extensive. And we're looking at things like, I don't think anyone wants less roads paved. I don't think anyone wants, we already are looking at what it's like to be
You're
in a
already
trash
cutting,
strike.
yeah.
So things are already getting cut. And even with those things getting cut, this last budget, we had to pass a budget with no operational line item for roads and sidewalks.
Yeah.
We are, yes, replacing it with free cash for this year to the same amount, but that should be built into the operational budget. That's, to me, that's something that we were already facing, in my estimation, a structural deficit for FY 2026 when we went into voting for it, given the fact that we were taking out critical line items for our services for the city.
So you and the president of the board, Julie Flowers, sponsored, I guess, a bill to create a committee.
We brought it up at the last budget meeting
Okay.
in our remarks.
So what's the status of that? Is that something that's being formed? Still talking about it?
We're still doing a lot of the groundwork in terms of the mechanics of how this would work and who would have to be involved in terms of expert opinions from, like, we really need to have all of the data that we would like in one place, and we're still kind of in that formational phase. We're also have been speaking with other communities and leaders in those communities that have had similar successful overrides, and so we're still kind of in the meetings phase of that. But we do foresee a committee with people on that committee that would be a combination of elected officials. It's challenging because we are in election season, so we don't necessarily want to, frame a committee for something that's going to take 18 months to a group of individuals that may or may not be elected officials at the time. But the heart of the matter is the committee does need to have people that are both have an understanding of the budget to begin with, because it would be challenging to go into this and have to learn all of that, the mechanics of it. In addition to people that will be helpful in educating the community about why this is being proposed. Because the education of the community is the biggest challenge.
Well, you got to sell the project.
You got to sell raising your taxes. I mean, it's
a tough
I
sell.
can only do this because I'm running on a post.
Yeah. Well, that's another reality. But you get down to some of these issues. So it sounds like the override will not be on the ballot in November.
No.
Can't do it by
No,
then.
that's way too.
So that
way
puts
too
you in a
soon.
bind because
I know.
shortly after November, whoever's won the lottery and got elected, you're starting on the 2027 budget.
Yep.
So that makes that challenging to start on it without knowing you got the money to pay for it.
Right, and we have to vote on the 2027 budget prior to us knowing whether we would have the funding for this or the approval, because it would. I do not think we should have a special election for this, because that is a big cost to the city in itself. I don't think and I think we could use the time. I also think there's a number of ways to maneuver around a structural deficit with a budget vote prior to knowing if we would have the money or not, and we're looking into those. I'm leaning one way in terms of how to approach the 2027 budget, but maybe I'll come back to that one in the spring when I know which route we might take.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So back to the issue that you're running for re-election. You're City Councilor for Ward 5, and obviously you're on the committee that watches the budget as part of the City Council. But Ward 5 in itself is a challenge in some respects. Had a discussion with Senator Lovely, and she pointed out that there's been an earmark made for another roundabout rotary, whatever you want to call them.
Peanut about. We call it a peanut about. The
Peanut
design
about.
looks like a peanut.
Oh, okay. That's going to be at one end of Dunham Road, so hopefully it smooths out some of the traffic. But it still ends up with most of the traffic going through a residential area
Right.
to get to the development between Cummings Center and the
North Shore
The
Music
theater.
Yep.
and we got with Senator Levy got into some of the discussion with all the voters in the issue who has a vote on what you can do and can't do. And one of the things we've been talking about since Scanlon was mayor is another bridge over 128,
Yep.
and at the same time, Folly Hill has got some quirky access to 128. You can only come
Yeah.
out on one side of it. You either approach from the west or you want to leave to the east, and that's all your options are.
Yeah.
So that gets to be a problem. So what do you think we're going to end up doing for these areas?
I'm still going to push for phase 2 for at least the overpass for my constituents and on Dunham and Colonial and those streets back there. The peanut about at the top of Dunham at Brimble at that 128 interchange, there's been a fear that if we get that, which we are really pushing, we're like very much there in terms of just getting shovel ready for the project itself. That solves or works to mitigate one problem, which is it's a very confusing intersection with so many ins and outs. You can make a left right into a right, which is terribly dangerous for pedestrians, for cyclists, for everything. And it slows down the speeding coming up Brimble, which is also always a problem of that stretch of Brimble between Brimble Hills and Budley. However, it does not do anything, as you mentioned, to solve the problem of barely a 2-lane carriage road that's the only access to what could be a bigger economic driver for corporate tax revenue in the city if we had that potential fully unlocked. Because right now it's just not safe or adequate. You can't even if the traffic is backed up, you can't turn a fire truck down that road. It's just very much not, it's at capacity, if not well beyond capacity for what it was designed for. So I will continue, as will the mayor, and at the state level for MassDOT too. We do have plans and have been in communication with MassDOT over the last 5 years, since I've been in office, about this overpass concept and the design. We are still in the design phase to be accepted by MassDOT. So every year we just keep trying to get closer to an approval to get on the tip, because it's a state project. We would have
we have no
control.
choice of that.
Right.
They won't let us build a bridge over their highway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we can't afford afford this, so the city can't. So we just want to get the design. We've been working so closely with MassDOT because we would like the design that the city puts all this effort into to be the exact thing they're looking for. So we've been told to go back to the drawing board a couple of years ago of this one's never going to get accepted, but maybe if you do this. So we're playing by the rules. We're being patient, and so we're really hoping that this time it's for real.
Okay. To my simple mind, the solution should be extend Dunham Road all the way out to Essex, and you already got it. A neat intersection there. What's wrong with that? What am I missing?
There's a lot of private property back there and the infrastructure isn't really built out. It would probably be a more extensive project. Additionally, it would be at the cost of the city if we're gonna just build out Dunham Road, that's a city road.
Yeah.
If we want a major infrastructural change done both right and such an expensive project to be on the state's dime, then the right way to do it is that. Because also it doesn't, if you follow commuting patterns, people are much less likely, if they're working in the Dunham office park, to go one more exit north just to not disturb a neighborhood. So they're going to follow the same commuting patterns. That's the easiest exit for them to get on and off
There
of.
are reality problems involved.
So
yeah.
the logistics of that, I don't think would go to solve the problem of just dumping the traffic from 128 right into the office park instead of going through that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
the only solution to that is a bridge over the
Yep.
128 that dumps them right into
Right.
that
And we have
area.
some good conceptual designs that really do just that. Just take them off 128, bring them around the Otis Road side of things, which is also city land. And we would have to do a lot less infrastructure to work on the off-ramp being on the northbound side of 128 than we would if we did more infrastructure and private property challenges on the southbound side of 128.
And remember, one of the plans at one time was to build a road up through the old Brimble Avenue dump and then go across from there. So, it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. So, what else is going on in Ward 5?
That's a big one. We have our walk audit coming up this Saturday, August 2nd. We'll be meeting at North Beverly Elementary at 10 a.m. That is, a walk audit is, it's hosted by the Pedestrian and Bicycle Committee for the City of Beverly.
Okay.
And we're going to be on foot. Ward 5 is pretty big, so we're going to have to actually drive between the locations that we're going to get out and be on foot for. But we're going to be assessing at the ground level a lot of the intersections that are more troublesome and dangerous for cyclists and pedestrians.
Who's the we?
I will be there. I have invited constituents to be there. I have specifically invited constituents from areas in Ward 5 that have expressed concern about specific intersections that we haven't taken care of yet. Bicycle, the committee will be there, and yeah, that's
That's it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're getting down to the point of it's your turn to make your pitch to the audience of, hey,
Okay.
I'm running and vote for me.
I am, yes. So I am once again running for City Council for the Ward 5 seat. It will be my 4th term if I have the honor of being elected. I currently am running unopposed. There's still time to take out papers, but I am very happy to serve in this role, and I have a lot of projects that I care deeply about seeing through. So I would ask for the honor of your vote. I'm hoping to beat the blanks, and I'm hoping to earn your vote whether I have an opponent or not. So if you have anything, any questions or concerns, I'm always available. My email address is kfeldman@beverlyma.gov. And I will be happy to answer any questions or concerns. I'm also on Facebook at Ward 5 City Councilor Kathleen Feldman on Facebook, and I'm very reachable there too. I try and keep everyone up to speed with things that are going on and things like the walk audit and different meetings around the city, around Ward 5. So thank you so much for the honor of serving these past 5 years, and I look forward to hopefully having another term. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to have you. And there's a lot of issues that are going on. Like I said, Dunham Road is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been resolved yet. And as I mentioned, we had a discussion with Senator Lovely, and she fesses up to the fact that there's just so many wickets to go through, and everybody on each one of those wickets has got a veto. And it's the same problem we're facing with the bridge being out in downtown. And it's just the challenge of working with the state government that isn't a one-person thing. The example I like to use is highway in, I think it was Pennsylvania, got put out of commission because the truck caught fire and bridge went out. And they started with, oh, well, it's going to take, and the governor said, fix it. And it got fixed within a short period of time. And unfortunately, the governor can't get involved in every one of these things.
Right.
There's 67 bridges that are out of commission in the state. And it's a challenge, I guess, to work with the state government to get their attention.
Yeah.
Because they got a lot on their plate, too.
We're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
In a boat, not on a bridge, not in a car.
Yeah. And it's a challenge, so I wish you luck with it. And thank you very much for spending the time with us this evening. And hope you come back again shortly and
I will.
tell us more what's happening,
I would love to. Thank you so much.
especially what you find out with your walkabout.
Yeah, I will. I'll be back with a report.
Okay.
All right.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. And as I mentioned, my email address is just my last name, BINNS, @Comcast.net. It appears in the credits in the front end and the back end of the show. And if you got a comment, send me an email. And if you have a longer comment, there's room for you here at the table. And thanks again for watching, and stay tuned. We'll be back.